My name's Paul McGarry. I am the Scottish Liberal Democrat candidate for East Kilbride and Central Scotland. I'm #1 on the Central Scotland list. I'm also the party's vice chair, and I'm responsible for delivering their conferences, and have recently been appointed as the housing spokesperson for the Scottish Liberal Democrats. So before even getting into politics, I think my political journey really started, I think, when I was a kid. We lived in a really poor community in Cornwall. And, and I think that culminated when I was 16 into being homeless. And, I hitchhiked my way up to, via Manchester, up to Scotland as an apprentice youth worker. And I really had huge amount of passion for working with young people, supporting them, helping them in communities across Scotland. I then, started working, taking a different path, working in sales, working in marketing for a number of huge organizations. And that's where I am now. Yeah, and that sort of was my path before getting really involved in frontline politics. My journey to get involved in politics first happened when I approached a local councillor looking for help for a project that I was working on. And to be frank, they were terrible. They were really, really bad. They had absolutely no interest in what we were doing, and asked me what political gain they could get out of supporting the project. And I was just like, this is pathetic. So I started getting involved firstly with one political party, and then I became a bit disappointed with them. So I started getting involved then with the Liberal Democrats, really inspired by Charles Kennedy and what he had to say about people like myself, about the communities that I was working in. And so that was how I first became involved in party politics, I guess. So I have been a serial candidate for the party since I think 2010, I think, for the Scottish Liberal Democrats. Before that, I was involved with another party in around about, I think, 2007, 2008. And then I didn't think that their actions matched the values, so I left them. And so, yeah, so I've been involved as a candidate. I was, I think, #3 on the list in Glasgow back in 2011. I then was #1 on the list in 2016. That was a challenging election for us. And I'm again #1 on the list here. I've been involved in various different community campaigns in the East Kilbride area, and really sort of pushing the message and trying to challenge politicians to do more into our community. I'd like to represent my community, and I mean my community in two different ways. The community that I'm from, as a person from an underprivileged background, there's very, very few MSPs from an underprivileged background in Holyrood, and I'd like to achieve that. I'd like to represent that. I'd like to show that actually, it doesn't matter where you're from or your background, but actually, you can make a difference in politics, and you're even welcome to participate in politics, because I think, for a number of people from my background, that's not even possible. And I really want to change. My personal goals is to change housing. I want to make a big difference on housing and social security. I believe that I can offer a lot of ideas there. I'm certainly considered sort of a well-regarded expert in that field, and I've been really involved in that community. And also to represent East Kilbride, because I think East Kilbride has largely been left behind in the last 15, 20 years. I love East Kilbride. I live here, raising my family here in East Kilbride. And there are certain things that I think, we need to see happen in East Kilbride, be that more community facilities and new housing development, be that in education, we need a new secondary school, and to really rethink out of the box on our transport infrastructure, because I just don't think that it's fit for a town of our size. And I think we need to be a bit more out of the box in terms of how we think about this, rather than just let's build new, bigger roads. I think that's an incredibly short-sighted strategy. I think that would be threefold. So, I mean, obviously, my family is my big interest outside of politics. We love spending time together, and people know that, if I've got a family commitment, it's pretty immovable. My involvement with my church is hugely important, and again, people know that I'm very dedicated to the work I do with young people at the church, the role I'm currently doing in COVID, helping to stream online the services using some of my technical expertise. And then the third big interest outside of politics, I absolutely couldn't get away without mentioning my love of American football. And most people in the political sphere know that I could be often spotted in either a suit or an American football jersey. It's probably the next most common thing. I've even turned up to the conferences that we host wearing American football jerseys before I have to don on the old suit. So yeah, those would be the three big interests I think that I have outside of politics. Me, it was Charles Kennedy. I mean, that was absolutely it. Is I had a huge amount of respect for what he had to say, but what he was saying, came from the people. The party was well respected as, they will campaign locally, they will campaign really hard, and that's why I think you see Liberal Democrats who have been in position for 20, 30 years, and actually the opportunity to get rid of them is when they retire, because they're so well known for the work they do in their community and how hard working they are for their community. And their values and their core values, I think, really reflected the type of party that I wanted to be part of. They are at the very fundamental point liberals, and that means rather than taking or giving to a particular community. It's about creating the opportunity. It's about giving more power to the people. It's about enabling communities. It's about being more local in your power and your governance and your infrastructure. It's about giving more powers to communities to make a decision. It's about giving more power to individuals to make a decision. And I think the best example I can give of that is that, when we had the chance and we removed the tax threshold, we started increasing the tax threshold, put thousands of pounds into the pockets of ordinary folk, low wage workers, put thousands of pounds into their pockets to give them the opportunity to progress in life without being in work poverty. And I think that was a real big thing, is that's what we're passionate to see, an end to in work poverty. And I think that's one of the reasons that we're really pushing for a universal basic income, because that provides us that opportunity to ensure that people have the opportunity to progress in life and to fulfill their potential. I really believe that I can make a difference. I think that if I get elected into the Scottish Parliament, I think I can offer a voice that's different. I can offer a voice that's unique. I can offer a voice that really represents the East Kilbride community, one that I believe has been left behind largely. I mean, since the corporation left, that we really haven't seen the kind of inward investment. We've seen a decrease in number of jobs. We've seen a decrease in the number of community facilities. We've seen a decrease in community investment. We've seen an increase in houses. And that seems to be the main product at the moment in East Kilbride. I want to see that tide change. I want to see that switch. And yeah, I think that's what I can offer into the Parliament. And I think that's absolutely why I'm choosing to run here. Number one key policy is to put recovery first. I'm absolutely at a loss for why anybody thinks it should be any different than putting the recovery of Scotland post-Brexit, post-COVID, putting that as the absolute first. The last thing we need is more chaos, more destruction, more uncertainty. We need to start sending messages that, you know, we're on the road to recovery, we're on the road to stability. We need to start investing in more jobs, more training opportunities. We need to be investing in more facilities in the community. We need to be investing in mental health in a huge way, a way that's unprecedented. We need to start actually seeing parity between physical and mental health. We need to be investing in education. You know, we can't keep going on building Scotland's biggest schools. We need to be building Scotland's best schools. And I really believe that we need a new secondary school in East Kilbride. I mean, we've grown our population hugely, and all we're doing is expanding the size of schools. We now have some of the biggest secondary schools in the whole of Scotland. And actually, the word coming back from teachers, from staff members, from pupils, is that doesn't create necessarily the best environment. And some of the parents I'm speaking to tell me that they're actively looking for schools outside of East Kilbride because they don't believe that offers the best opportunity for their kids. And I think that we can solve that by building a new school in East Kilbride and trying to help reduce not just the school classroom sizes, but also the capacities of the schools that give the teachers more opportunity to actually engage with students, to regularly see students, and to invest in their education. So recovery first, jobs, mental health, education. I believe that people should vote me because I've not let you down. I've met every promise, and I'm promising now to put recovery first. That if I am elected, we will put the main priority to be to put the recovery of Scotland first, and that means recovery from the pandemic in East Kilbride first.